Let's move on with a check on some of the top headlines in the international press with Diptyque Laurent. Hello there.
Hi, Kat.
Now we're going to start off with a conflict that has been going on for quite a long time, and we probably don't really talk about it enough in the media, do we? We're talking about what's going on in Yemen.
That's right. The war in Yemen, which started back in March 2015, it's a long-running war now. According to this piece on the front page of the New York Times website, Yemen is the world's worst humanitarian crisis, and really, Kat, there are many to choose from, sadly, right now. Repeated bombings have destroyed much of the country's infrastructure, and medical facilities are also sparse, with doctors not having been paid for the last year. There was also a deadly cholera outbreak, and because the Saudis have kept Yemen's major airports shut, people are unable to leave the country for medical practice, and aid is unable to come in. It's a really impossible situation, one with no end in sight, at least according to the New York Times.
In the latest violence, Sana'a has killed dozens of people. Some of the Arab papers looking at the political side of this.
This is a hugely political conflict, one that started off political, actually. Essentially, today you have two opposing sides. You have the Saudi-led coalition, which supports the current president, Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi. They're facing off against the former Yemen leader, Ali Abdullah Saleh, and the Houthi rebels, the Shia Houthi rebels. The Saudi London-based paper Al Hayat says now cracks are beginning to show in that rebel alliance, with Saleh supporters challenging the Houthi rebels now. As a result, the anti-Saudi alliance is teetering on the edge. That's what Bloomberg says. The Houthi rebels accuse Saleh of holding secret talks with the Emirates, which is a close Saudi ally. It's a very complicated situation right now. Anyway, the former Yemeni leader Saleh is due to give a speech today, and for Rai Al-Yum, another Arab language paper, they wonder, will he call for calm and try and diffuse tensions, because essentially the future of this war is hanging on this alliance. If it collapses, well, that means the only group to serve or to benefit from that would be the Saudi coalition, and at least for Rai Al-Yum, that's not a good thing.
And as you said, there is, in the meantime, huge suffering for all of those civilians. All right, let's move on with a story that's absolutely gripping, particularly Sweden and Denmark. The death of a high-profile Swedish journalist on a submarine in Denmark.
Well, it's making the front page of the Danish paper BT, which says that police have uncovered new disturbing information in a crime mystery that really is gripping the country. Police have identified a headless body found washed up on a beach. They've identified that body to be that of high-profile Swedish journalist Kim Wall. She was probably subjected to a scary and gruesome crime. That's what the Danish paper says.
And what about the international papers then?
Well, there's a lot of focus really on the crime mystery element of this story. It has all the hallmarks of a TV crime show. On one hand, you have Wall. She's a young, renowned young journalist who reported on conflicts, crises, natural disasters. On the other hand, you have this rather enigmatic, eccentric Danish inventor called Peter Madsen. Wall's last story, which she didn't know at the time, what would have been her last story, was very close to home. She was doing a piece about Madsen and his homemade submarine, but she never came back. Madsen has now been arrested for manslaughter. He says she died accidentally and that he, quote, buried her at sea. But police say her body was found with the limbs cut off, and that her dried blood, was found on the submarine. So there are a lot of questions. How did she die? By whom? Why? Questions that for the moment remain unknown.
It really is a very sad mystery there. We're going to talk about another story now that you've picked up from The Guardian. It's been a very bad month for wildlife protection.
That's right. The Guardian reports 3 more rangers have been killed in separate incidents in Brazil, Mexico, and Mali. The rangers were killed by armed men who are believed to have been hunting illegally in these parks. 3 other men also died in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This a few days before a renowned South African conservationist, Wayne Lauder. He was killed by poachers in Tanzania. For The Guardian, it's clear that the business of protecting endangered species has become increasingly dangerous.
All right, finally, a story that's a little bit more upbeat. Well, that's what it says on my notes here. Something that makes me feel a bit old, actually. Twitter's hashtag, to me, it seems very newfangled, but apparently it's 10 years old today.
That's right. The humble pound sign was actually turned 10 yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But
yes,
the celebrations
10 years
continue.
and one day. It's even older.
10 years and one day. It started out with a Google product designer who tweeted out a question about using this pound sign to unite groups. 10 years later, Twitter users are generating 125 million hashtags a day. The humble hashtag went from being that underappreciated key on your computer keypad to an important social and cultural driver. Think Oscars So White, Black Lives Matter, the Arab Spring, all these movements that were essentially created through hashtags. For Vox, the website, it's one of the greatest developments of modern internet history, and one of its greatest achievements is the fact that in an age where people are buying fewer and fewer televisions, hashtags actually allow us to watch live events on social media feeds. So hashtag happy birthday, hashtag thank you, hashtag here's to 10 more years.
Hashtag thanks very much, Diptyque Laurent. I don't think that's going to catch on, that one. Thank you for that look through the international press.